Amid the sound of a nearby protest being dispersed, President Trump addressed Americans last night and threatened to deploy the army if cities and states fail to control protests which have swept across the US, triggered by the death last week of an unarmed black man, George Floyd, in police custody. Overnight, protests took place in cities across the country, and after appeals for calm from George Floyd's brother, most demonstrations appeared to be peaceful, but there was some violence, including in Washington, where the president and his entourage walked, Bible in hand, for a photo op to a local church, the epicenter of the unrest. Our diplomatic correspondent James Robbins reports.
More protesters, more cities. This is Philadelphia, its name promising brotherly love, and the place which is home to the Liberty Bell. But now, a week after the police killing of an unarmed black man in Minneapolis, it's the scale and depth of America's racial divide which is most obvious.
You are here trying to defend the civilians, and it's against your code, ho!
Like so many other protests, this one ended in confrontation with police, with tear gas and pepper spray. Awash with milk as one way to ease the burning sensation, and a warning from police to stay away.
It's not just a single thing that brought me out. It's really all the years of oppression, all the years of police brutality, and I don't know, it's if I had to pick one word, it's injustice.
People need to realize that it's not something that we're making up. It's something that we live with and have to prepare with from the day that we're born.
In Washington, the focus of protest is the president himself. His demand that security forces must get tougher, must dominate, has infuriated many. And his threat to deploy heavily armed soldiers to cities where he thinks law enforcement is too lax risks drawing sharper lines in a divided country.
Mayors and governors must establish an overwhelming law enforcement presence until the violence has been quelled. If a city or state refuses to take the actions that are necessary to defend the life and property of their residents, then I will deploy the United States military and quickly solve the problem for them.
Then the president walked out of the White House, past security forces, to the historic church, St. John's, which was damaged by fire in Sunday night's protests. Donald Trump held up a Bible to the cameras.
Black Lives Matter!
In Minneapolis, where this all began with the police killing of George Floyd, they gathered again at the site of the memorial and mural to honor him. His brother Terence urged people to use their vote, not violence, to change America. New York has become a critical flashpoint in this increasingly polarized political conflict. Large crowds rallied peacefully in Times Square and in Brooklyn. The city is moving from locked down to boarded up, as some use the end of demonstrations to follow up with attempts to steal and to loot. The United States looks like a nation in turmoil and torment. Its unresolved racial inequalities and discrimination pushed back to the center stage in a critical election year, when Americans will be looking at their president as well as themselves before deciding in which direction they want their nation to head next. James Robbins, BBC News.